I don't even think there's a point to try to make sense of this. Let's just not try to think about it too hard. The entire world woke up one day and the continent of Australia just popped up on the other side of the globe. This is actually the exact location it would pop up in if you poked a hole through the earth. I mean, at least if you just kind of eyeball it, that makes sense, I think. Actually, I'm not really that sure. Love that they brought their little buddy Tasmania here too. So obviously because we're in opposite land, it also has to be flipped upside down, but I'm not even worried about that. Australia itself is not going to be the big factor here. It's really going to be all these new ocean crossings that the AI is going to be able to do. And quite possibly New Zealand might have the best game of all time because now they are absolutely by themselves. Usually it's Australia that takes them out. Just somehow they can start island hopping their way through Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. They're going to be hard to stop. And so it begins. Everyone is eating up sea territory already. Also, a couple of alliances are forming. So who's going to get this chunky boy now right in the middle of the Atlantic? This actually gives me vibes of Atlantis. That's where they thought Atlantis was, and Australia kind of sounds like Atlantis. Obviously, this territory holds a lot of power for anyone who's going to take it over. And what exactly does Australia do? Do they move into Africa? Do they move into America? You can also go into the Caribbean, obviously. There's an alliance known as the League of Taiwan. I guess it's Vietnam and South Korea trying to protect Taiwan. Already we're seeing small deaths around the world. Belgium was already conquered by the Netherlands. Wait, is this Portugal that got all this? Yeah, I didn't even realize that they have an island right here. Interesting, Australia decided to join a team with Morocco for some reason. I have no idea why they did that. Then again, I have no idea why they popped up on the other side of the globe, so maybe we shouldn't be asking stupid questions like this. Australia finally is going to war, and it is to help their buddy Morocco. I don't know if they're going to be able to do much in terms of troops, but they will be able to send money and aid like that. Oh, they're also fighting the Western Sahara, who has kind of just been banished to islands. Oh man, Australia, how are you losing this, Australia? What is going on? Also, there are alliances popping up literally all around the globe. I can't even keep up. The Western Europeans aren't getting involved in anything though. I like this team between Czechia, Slovakia, and Austria. The US clearly feels a little bit threatened, I think, with the new neighbor here. They are friendly with Canada. Then there's Algeria and Portugal that's working together. Spain is actually pushing deep into Morocco. So luckily for Australia, they pieced out with the Africans, but now they're at war with Brazil. Now, Brazil is also in a really tough spot because, you know, usually they do get ganged up on with a lot of the Spanish-speaking countries. Wow, they're losing so much up here in the Amazon. And then they always have to worry about a power growing out of the Western Sahara here. Okay, Brazil, are you going to do anything or are you just going to sit there? The Australians are slowly being pushed back a little bit now. Ooh, but they're losing land. Look at even Puerto Rico got a little coastline. Europe is just being way too quiet right now. It's a little bit creepy. Although Turkey did grab Greece, and I thought that was Albania for a second there. They just have similar colors. Meanwhile, in the absence of Australia, New Zealand has done literally nothing. But there are some wars happening here. So Australia has pieced out, and they do have a huge chunk of Brazil. That actually makes up for the small amount of land they lost on the perimeters here. Australia is not holding anything back. They are being aggressive, trying to take back their stuff from Puerto Rico, but they pieced out. Puerto Rico might die because of the Dominican Republic. They did. And because of that, Australia got that stuff back. Azerbaijan was just conquered by Iran. Also, they're allied to Iraq and Saudi Arabia. That's a pretty scary team. The Kazakhs are growing here in Central Asia. Oh, Austria is gone. Was there an Anschluss that happened? I didn't even notice that. Also, Denmark has vanished. Sweden, Norway, and Germany taking in the partition with that. Australia facing a huge threat now, again from Africa, but all the Iberians as well. They're really trying to kick out Western Sahara and Portugal from these islands, but you know what? They're losing territory. Russia is allied to Ukraine and Estonia. They were actually at war with Norway for a little bit there. Is Australia really going to get taken over by Western Sahara? It's kind of looking like that. Look at all the teammates they have over here. This part of the world really does not like their new neighbor in the Atlantic, clearly. Brazil is allied to Argentina and Bolivia, but now they are fighting almost a three-front war. They're lucky, actually, Suriname doesn't have a straight border. Interesting war for Kazakhstan and Afghanistan. They don't have a whole lot of room to work with. China's definitely got some friends. Also, South Korea has taken over the north. Japan has no friends, but that's all right. I guess that's why they're an island. Oh, they're going to another Japanese-Russo war happening. This time, the Russians are doing a lot better of a job than they did like 100 years ago. Some African nations are kind of falling here and there a little bit. Again, this is big for Brazil because usually there is a power that grows and Brazil has a lot of struggle. Brazil has friends for now, but these alliances break apart and then that's when everything changes. Oh wow, wait, what just happened? I think it was Morocco that just died, but Western Sahara is not messing around anymore. They don't have any friends. Now, this is probably the best time for Australia to strike. We've got Colombia and Venezuela getting after it, but the border's not really moving too much. Mexico tried to take over Colombia, but it actually backfired. Colombia is going after the Yucatan Peninsula now. Literally, the Western Sahara nation is so... I think it's because we have no data about this place. Is this their plan all along? No one knows who even lives here, so no one knows how to prepare to fight with them. They're literally taking over the south of Portugal and Spain. Oh, France is gone. Switzerland got a lot out of that. Meanwhile, Belarus is gone. Although the Baltic states are gone. China's been very slow to grow, but they might start to get something a little bit out of Kazakhstan. India is still around, but they have had problems against Sri Lanka. The Western Sahara nation has successfully defeated both the Iberians, and now they're going after Algeria. Meanwhile, Australia sits here with literally no friends. There's Canada versus Greenland up here, but they're fighting like in literally the Arctic Circle. Oh, now India's dealt with Sri Lanka. Ooh, Brazil having problems again. Brazil is actually they were being helped a lot by Colombia. Now, finally, the North Americans are attacking Australia. They're kind of sick of seeing it. Oh, bam, already dead. And you know what? I think the Western Saharans helped out a lot with that. So here we go. There's a huge race for all of this new land up here. Man, unfortunately, Guyana here is a little bit too slow to get a lot of it. But wow, I never thought I'd see something like this. Just the colors and the weird mixture of territory. The Western Sahara nation, like in the top 3, I think they might be. They're actually not in the top 3, but I think they're in 7th place. Again, no data. I think they must have some sort of alien technology. Maybe that's why. The Netherlands has taken over Germany. There's actually only a couple wow, look at how powerful Hungary is right here. The Italians have actually struggled a lot in the north. Again, the Western Saharans, bam, now they took out Algeria. They're still going after Italy. Who made them so powerful? I do not understand. The US and Canada are still friends for now. Also, wait, who got oh, I guess Greenland is now a friend. I thought Canada took him over. Big South African empire growing, although they are now fighting a pretty thick Angola. Venezuela has eliminated Guyana. They do have a piece of, well, what was formerly known as Northern Australia. Now it's, I guess, Southern Australia. India here is still kicking. They also got a piece out of Southern Myanmar. It's kind of a Persian empire growing. Let's see how they do against Turkey, who's looking pretty good too. Oh, Turkey's being aided by Libya, interestingly. They kind of have their Ottoman Empire going. Norway actually was being a little bit successful against Russia. Surprisingly, still a large amount of Central Americans here. Panama's very small. Costa Rica looks good. Jamaica has taken over most of Cuba, but they are sharing it with the US and Mexico. Surprisingly, the new Australian territory for all of these nations has remained pretty peaceful. You'd think there'd be a lot of chaos breaking out. Oh, as soon as I say that, it does actually break out. I don't even know who's at war at this point. Okay, it's basically Venezuela fighting by themselves. Ecuador's got some really weird borders while they're fighting. Oh, this is Peru. I don't even know what's happening with Peru. Chile's gone. Argentina has taken them over. Lots of southern African nations allied. South Africa, I think, is the Congo, Gabon. They were fighting Ethiopia for a second there. As soon as I say that, there's a huge coalition to take out the DRC. This is like the East African Federation, basically all working together. And unfortunately, New Zealand still not doing anything. But they are friendly, interesting, with Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. Oh, Papua New Guinea looks pretty strong. They took over all the Philippines. South Korea is now gone. China took most of that. They're looking like the Qing dynasty again. Ooh, it looks like Thailand's gonna make them pay, Thailand and Myanmar, but this is a strong force to face. Oh, they had Kazakhstan's help for a little bit, but not anymore. In Europe, there's only a couple of powers. One of them, Hungary, the Netherlands, Norway. The UK is still here after taking out Ireland, and again, the Western Australians. Now, there was a big revolt. Oh, look how the tables have turned. Morocco free out of Western Sahara. There was a revolt, but I think they're gonna clean that up. There hasn't been very many successful revolts so far. Here we go. The US finally getting into a battle over Australia to take on Colombia. Whoa, this is a huge continental war, but it stopped now. I don't know how Venezuela is still fighting all these people without, I mean, I guess they have a little bit of help from Jamaica. Dang, they actually just took out Colombia. Who made Venezuela so powerful? Western Sahara is literally taking on the US and Canada by themselves. Now they're fighting even more African nations in the south. They are doing this all by themselves too, with a lot of European territory. Greenland now having a little bit of problems against Iceland and Norway. Oh, Papua New Guinea just got kicked out of the alliance, which means, oh, I guess they pieced out. I was gonna say New Zealand, this is their opportunity to start island hopping, but nope. Look at how thick Ethiopia's gotten. They've gotten a huge piece out of the Arabian Peninsula as well. Now Western Sahara is taking on all of these European powers. The Netherlands and Britain, they're actually, oh, Britain's already dead. Well, I forgot about that. Whoa, Hungary looked like they were gonna run away with everything, but not anymore. The wars have kind of stopped. A lot of things have stopped. Russia is actually fighting. Oh, Russia and Hungary are working together. Of course they are. Turkey looks like they haven't grown much in strength. Maybe they'll take out Jordan. No, they won't. They pieced out. Western Saharans are growing. Is that how you say it? Western Saharans? They are growing in strength in Australia. Again, they're fighting all of these nations, still surviving somehow. I'm guessing they've got to have one of the best economies in the world. That's got to be the thing that's keeping them alive, right? In terms of gold, it's Russia, China, Brazil, the US. It's actually the DRC that's very rich. Western Sahara is actually way further down here. They are at 10,000, which isn't bad. 11,000. Brazil still strong, and it's basically because they're keeping their friendships up. Ooh, look at Jamaica go, taking a large portion, all of Florida, a large portion of Georgia, even Alabama. You just never can tell who's going to do well in this game, who's going to win the game. The Egyptians are gone. Libya's looking pretty strong. They're still allied to Turkey. Big old Chad nation here too. Kazakhstan still exists, and they're still fighting. Oh my goodness, Russia, what is happening? Russia, you good? It doesn't look like you're good. Myanmar actually took a large chunk out of southern China though. China's literally rolling over Russia. Russia actually is a huge economy. Kazakhstan's going to try to come help. How did they lose all of this so fast? Unfortunately for Hungary, that's going to probably put them at risk. They no longer have that strong of an ally. Here it is the Ottomans. Oh, I thought Turkey was going to turn to the Ottomans right now. The Tunisians have taken a lot of Italy over. The US was killed. I don't know when they were killed, probably by the Jamaicans, because I think they got DC. So now Mexico and Canada are going at it. The Jamaicans might be the strongest in North America right now. Venezuela is still fighting off. I mean, they just have to fight off Brazil, even though Brazil has a lot of friends. Wow, and they got a large bunch of territory. Bunch of territory. I don't know. Is that Iran? What happened to Iran? So they have two different territories right now. One's fighting India, I guess, and Afghanistan. They're actually fighting Oman here too. Oh, these borders are so ugly, but luckily they will be cleaned up eventually. Look at how huge Indonesia's gotten. Even Indonesia's actually hurting China a little bit. Oh, it's because the South Asians here, I think, are working together with India and Bhutan, but Myanmar is actually on the front lines because the Himalayans block the Indians from going to war with China. There now remains pretty much just Hungary and Norway, and I guess Russia as the only like European powers that still exist. Greenland took over Iceland, by the way. Most of the northern or southern, whatever you want to call it, of Australia is controlled by Western Sahara right now. Western Sahara is getting themselves into a pretty big war. Again, they've been able to do this without pretty much any friends, although they are allied to Chad now and Ethiopia. It all depends on like who cleans up South America first. I mean, once these continents start, okay, that's huge. Honduras actually ended up eliminating Venezuela. Also, Honduras is allied to Mexico. Mexico's now trying to kick out Jamaica. Brazil now just friends with Argentina. That is the only, wow, and that's a weird alliance too. I should have known this world was going to be weird, but I really wasn't expecting it. Oh, are we finally going to see the fall of the Western Sahara? They have an empire. They're probably going to be able to move their capital into Australia at least once. Man, they just keep getting themselves into wars. Just so many wars. Senegal is looking pretty good here. I don't know how Kazakhstan's still holding on. They're fighting a two-front war where they were. Mongolia is still just completely engulfed. Now, Russia still has a pretty good economy, I think. So I think they're going to be able to survive. Oh, now they're having to defend Hungary. Their economy's not, it's pretty much on par with China, even though China has way more territory. I feel like a sleeper power here is definitely Indonesia. I mean, they don't really have to worry about anyone in the corner. They pretty much are the cornered off nation. They can just somehow take on Myanmar. Myanmar got kicked out of their alliance with India, which is really not good for them. The Dominican Republic, I didn't even realize was still around. They've actually been doing a little bit of damage to Honduras up here. It looks like Mexico has kind of been pushing the Canadians out of modern day US. I mean, they've gotten all the way up to Oregon. Mexico has a weaker economy currently. Ooh, here's the problem. Canada has way more threats to deal with. Mexico is currently allied to Honduras. Mexico is just trying to fight two nations, Canada and Jamaica. That's it. That's the only one they're really worried about. The West, look at this crazy archipelago nation. They're kind of like this mercantile empire. They have this part, obviously, of Australia. They're still in Africa. They've got Iberia, modern day France. They're taking over a huge part of Hungary because, oh wait, that wasn't even Hungary. They have the British Isles, Ireland. They might even push into Iceland. I don't even, look, they're part of the Chad League. Of course they're part of the Chad League. Man, they've got some friends too. Okay, they definitely have friends on their side. The only problem for them is geographically they're in the middle of the map, and this game can be pretty brutal for the nations that are in the middle of the map towards the end game. Ooh, India has fallen. Myanmar has taken over most of that. Afghanistan is still going. Myanmar actually has pushed back a large part of Indonesia. Russia has taken out Norway. Russia pretty much only has one friend, which is very scary for them. Oh, the fall of Mexico. I really thought, man, that little three-way battle for North America was going on forever, and then they just collapsed. Now, it must be, the Canadians are probably, I mean, I would think they were going to push out Jamaica. Oh, they're allied to Jamaica. Oh, they're also allied to the Dominican Republic, who now have a pretty good chunk of South America. So this is where the game gets interesting, because if one person falls, that can be like the end of like the rest of the world. I mean, if America doesn't stay pretty fractured like this, then obviously the Canadians are pretty much going to just take everything over. Same for like if China somehow starts eating everyone up, then China's going to start taking everyone over. Oh, Myanmar did take out Indonesia. South Africa's in a pretty good spot, but unfortunately they're allied to the two people they really need to go to war with. Oman has a very interesting thing going on. They're trying to take on Turkey. I don't know how Afghanistan's still here. It's actually kind of a miracle. beautiful. I love how Afghanistan just continues to fight. They've got some friends, that, although they are on the front lines trying to fight back Myanmar. Huge push by the Western Sahara nation. I don't know if the Dominican Republic are going to be able to keep up with this. Oh, is this it? Is this finally the collapse? Oh man, I think, did they run out of money? Oh, they're just fighting so many different wars. I mean, they're in the middle of the map, of course. Oh, that's evil. Finally, the world's like, hey, we got to stop these guys. We still don't have any data about this nation, and yet they're taking over half the globe. Ooh, Brazil has ended their friendship with Argentina. Now there's a war between the two. Oh boy, oh boy. Myanmar has now moved down into, if they grab this capital, New Zealand is done. Oh, they're being aided. I see money's being thrown at them. Who's New Zealand allied to? Oh, the African nations. Oh, they did die. Oh, wow. Okay, so they did get taken out. I don't know what happened. DRC backstab them or what? Canadians are now pushing. They went through Iceland. They went through Great Britain. They have a piece of Norway. Really, the Western Saharans that are, I think, keeping the world safe. They're trying to keep the world from falling to all the Canadians, the Syrup Empire. How did Brazil get that? How did Brazil? Oh, that's right. At a certain part in the game, I think there's like a lot more unions. If nations end up staying allied for a certain amount of time, I think they just get annexed, the smaller nation at least. Is Russia still here? That is Russia. Russia's just fighting a lot of enemies. Unsurprisingly, the two biggest empires are Canada and China, but that doesn't mean anything. Ooh, Chad is in fourth. Oh, Afghanistan just passed them up. Look at the Dominican Republic still fighting. They do have the help, but wait, is that Brazil growing? Yeah, Brazil is actually pushing into Canadian-controlled Mexico. Brazil is actually allied to South Africa and the DRC now. Finally, Western Sahara has fallen, and actually I think that Libya benefited more from the collapse of that nation. Canada has so much of Australia, but man, Canada's gonna be fighting a lot of enemies here soon because they've got like literally no friends. Brazil is taking over all of South America, and at least the Argentina part. They're just fighting the Canadians. Russia is still here going. They're still trying to fight the Chinese from the east. Oh, and right as I say that, they might lose their capital. This is the Battle of Stalingrad, basically. Look at Chad go. They're trying to fight these southern nations down here. Again, still not sure exactly how Brazil got this foothold in the Caribbean, but it's actually really a lot of use to them. I love how somehow the Mongolians are still around. I don't know how or why that's happening. Oman has been annexed by China, making them even more powerful. And now Chad has annexed all of Myanmar. So Chad is going to really have to struggle against China. There's 4 big nations, and then someone, I don't know, maybe it's going to be Brazil that annexes Libya, or is Libya just going to die? Mongolia is now gone too. Somehow Russia still exists. I cannot believe that they've made it this long. That is also a miracle. There are 4 nations that could possibly win this. It's Brazil, Canada, Chad, or China. As I say that, Brazil's looking weaker than ever. Also, Libya and for some reason, Russia is hiding in Albania of all places. Now, a lot of the world is fighting China. China is allied to Brazil. That's almost their only friend. Actually, they're allied to Russia, weirdly. The Chad-Canadian alliance still stands the test of time for now. Oh, the Brazilians have finally been kicked out of Central. This is it. This has got to be it. Okay, Brazil has moved their capital once. That economy is really dropping low, though. This is not good news for China to see your only friend struggle like that. The problem is the Canadians are probably going to be the ones to have to keep Chad alive. China's making small gains here in Africa, but the front line against the Canadians hasn't really moved. Actually, the Canadians are starting to get a lot of advantages. What chaos this world is. It's literally 1980. Have we finally almost seen the death of Brazil? They're so close. I don't even know how they're holding on. Ooh, China really pushing far into... Okay, I don't know if Canada was ready for that. I think Canada's really focused on taking out Brazil. If they take out Brazil, I think it's over, because then they can focus their front lines just on this. Unless, of course, like the alliance breaks down between Chad and Canada. That's absolutely possible here. See, they both have minor powers. China and Canada. China and China... I can't even talk. China and Canada have minor powers. Brazil and, oh, they did break down. Ooh, oh, wow. So now it is Canada fighting everybody, or is Chad just fighting by himself? I think maybe Canada was like, okay, Chad's too weak for us now. We're gonna, I don't know why they did that. That was a terrible idea. Okay, well, now you're definitely gone. Okay, there goes Chad. Maybe not. The last minute they stopped it. Brazil is actually still aiding, China over here. This is, how romantic is that? As they, like, barely hold on. So much money getting flown around. Oh, that's weird. So now they're friends again. Bam. Now Canada has done the annexation of Chad. They're gone. They were friends for just too long, and the sea nations have united. So definitely China and Brazil are going to have to really team up here. I think it's actually possible that China annexes Brazil at some point. Probably going to form some sort of a union, but is that really going to help that much? I mean, Brazil is really tiny. I was going to say, just by looking at the map, it looks like Canada probably does have more power, but because they have all of Australia, that is actually helping them out a lot. If Australia was back in their normal spot and they didn't have that, if China had that, maybe it'd be, I mean, I think Canada would still be in the advantage. You can really see though in terms of area, like Canada is way further out than China. Australia offers like a pretty big chunk. They're losing territory fast. I didn't even know this is like a live toolbar. Brazil has lost their, okay, well Brazil's gonna be able to survive for, oh, they've got no money. I was gonna say, because they moved their capital back here, they're gonna be able to survive for a while, but that's actually not the case. There goes the siege. Brazil is gone. That means that China has got to be next. China still has a good amount of money though. Actually, they have more than Canada. Canada's actually been struggling because of all the wars they've found themselves in. And with that said, you know, China's still pushing. They're still slowly gaining ground. Canada's obviously winning the territory game, but China's winning the economy game, and it's actually not even close. That actually, I think it makes this last war a lot closer. China's actually getting into the Horn of Africa now, also into modern day Egypt. Canada is really close to zero economy right now, and that is a big problem. Once they hit zero, they've got nothing to defend themselves with anymore. There it goes, tick, 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 tick. It's gonna go below 1,000 now at this point. Now the problem is when it hits zero, how much is China gonna be able to get out of this? Oh, I think it did hit zero, and it's about to hit zero again. Okay, so here we go. Canada's gonna lose a bunch of land right now. There's gonna be a peace deal, because there always is, and now you just keep, now all China has to do is just keep going to war as Canada has zero money. China's catching up very, very close to Canada. They're about to pass up in terms of area right now. China's now the biggest nation on earth with still a large economy to back them up. It was all that fighting in Brazil. I think all that fighting in Brazil really killed Canada. Man, oh man, what a twist as the Chinese have entered into the random continent that switched sides on the other side of the globe, I mean. And there you have it. What a twist at the very end. Did not expect to see China pull out with this one. Canada just looked like the #1 power like middle through the video. I feel like Australia made no difference over here at all. And big thanks to my patrons. I am the Kidnapper and I've moved Drew to a Patagonian village.
is real.
Drew's
I'm not a paid
Argentinian
actor. The
grandpa.
slow depressing
Drew
Portugal
Darnell
collapse.
is
Asher, 200.
Brighton
S.
is the
Craigan's
best.
the
Amateur
Nardo.
Riot.
Fresh.
Fresh.
I've
I've
almost managed to escape the imposter.
Robert
Hyde.
Gary Noah's best girl.
The great Polish
Wicked.
Wine.
Why did the
Thomas.
real Drew
Zany
pays
boy.
imposter $20?